Good morning. It is at... Where did you go? You left. You didn't even want to be in my
I don't
video.
understand why everybody else is always working and you're not.
Somebody has to document the things, Michael.
I'm about to document somebody. Pink slip.
It's not... I'm not even really employed here.
I know.
Ah, what?
They ended a long time ago.
You should...
3 pink slips later.
You should like and subscribe for more entertaining content like this. So today is garden prep day. Look, we're getting everything ready for the garden. This is like Mike's most important job here at Fluffy Feather Farm, is making sure that the garden is functional, produces produce, and producing productive produce. Okay, anyway, so day one, when we start doing the garden, well, actually day one was rototilling. So you can see I spent the other day rototilling all of the beds. So we rototill all the beds. Then what we do is we put down weed barrier on top of all the beds. So here's a tip, because we did this last year and it worked out really great. We saved all of our weed barrier. So Mike bought these big 15-foot wide pieces from the interwebs. So we didn't have to use the little 3-foot rolls from like the home store. So we have these giant weed barrier pieces. And last year we took them up, we labeled them as to where they went, and now we're just putting them back down. So not only are we reusing the weed barrier, but all of our holes are already in their spot. So I'll show you how we do the holes later on, because we have a new section that we're gonna do. We had strawberries over here in this section, and we abandoned our strawberry patch because for some reason we're not strawberry growers. I don't know why. Anyway, we're gonna do wildflowers. No, this is gonna be more pumpkins. Okay, so we're gonna do pumpkins in this section, and then over there, we're gonna do cut flowers. You know what? It's a good thing that Mike is in charge of this, because I really obviously do not know what's going on most of the time. So today, anyway, the beginning of this video is going to be all of our prep work for planting. So weed barrier is gonna go down, all of the hoses are gonna go down, because we've hooked up automatic water systems out here in our garden. So each one of these hose bibs has a waterer on it, and then all of them go off at different increments of the day, depending on what is in that section, because we want to make sure that our garden has consistent water and is producing awesome plants and vegetables that we can sell at the farm stand. So more to come, stay tuned and subscribe below. You're doing great stuff. Okay, so like I said, we have a new section of the garden that we're doing this year. So we're putting a new weed barrier down. So Steph's rolling everything out. Marissa's doing a really good job of holding the end, because otherwise, you know, you just keep pulling it along. And then Matt's over there, I don't really know what Matt does here, honestly. I don't know. It takes 2 people to hold down the weed barrier, because you know, this is obviously the less difficult job. So holding it down over here is more important than Steph, you're going a little crooked, Steph. Steph, it's getting crooked. Steph, Matt, you're supervising badly because it's crooked now. Yeah, so now we need to cut it off. Cut it with the scissors. Cut the thing. Nobody has scissors. This really is going really well. Really well. Just don't screw it up.
Not right there. I'm totally kidding.
Okay, Michael, pull it back. Let's see how straight you got.
How to get it through.
That's perfect.
Look, it's fine. It's fine. You did great, Matt. Steph, the sighing and the rolling of the eyes is not needed.
Yeah,
Ready? 1, 2, 3, go!
Run! No, just kidding. Hold on.
Yay! 1! We got all the plastic down on this new pumpkin patch, because that's Keegan's old pumpkin patch, but we're doubling it this year, so this is the new one. And now we're gonna put all the holes in it, which is the most fun part, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. So we're gonna take our templates, which we made a couple years ago, and it's this board here that we cut holes in. So these are like 6-inch holes, and then I call it Luan. I don't think that's the right term. Marissa called it oil board, and Steph said it was wet cardboard. So I don't know like what it actually, here, I'll get you a close up so you can see it's like this stuff. It's got the Ridgy McRidgers on the back and then it's flat on the front. I had it for some other project, so we use this. Anyway, so what we did is we said, put it down next to it, Marissa. Yeah, okay. So we spaced all the holes evenly apart, and then from the ends, they're only halfway so that they're still even. See, like there's like, I don't remember, 18 inches between the holes, but then on the ends of the boards, like we left 9 inches so that they still are 18 inches apart. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so what we do is we line these up with the lines on the tarp, and then we cut the holes with the blowtorch. So we're gonna line them up, and then depending on what we're putting in that section, I almost said pasture, these are not cows. So depending on what plants we're putting in the section is how many holes we skip between the blowtorch-ing.
Very scientific.
Thank you. So I'll show you one that's done. Okay, so over here, look, this is the tomato patch. So see, we did a line of holes down here, but we like did every other one, so we skipped it. So this is pumpkins that we're doing. So in our other pumpkin patch, I think we went every 3 or 4 holes, just because pumpkins get so big and they don't really need to be very close together. So see, here's the other pumpkin patch that we did last year, and look at how far the holes are away from each other. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how we line them up, and then I'm gonna show you how we burn the holes with the blowtorch. All right, so we're gonna put the holes in now. So we use our blowtorch, and then down here, we're gonna cut the hole with the blowtorch because this stuff is plastic, so it will melt right away. And this is really super fun. So you'll see exactly how it works. So we're gonna go every 5 holes. So we're gonna skip 4 holes in between each hole. Hope that makes sense. So we'll see how this works. Ready? Okay, so here's number 1. Okay, and then our next one is gonna be here. Okay. Get that, and when you have people helping you, they can just line up the next board. Amazing. I need a board. I need a board. Okay, so that's it. A whole row done in less than 37 seconds. All right, let's do the next row. And then once they take the templates off, you can see here, that's what we have for planting. So we take and we drill our holes in there, and then we put the seeds in. So if you are looking for an easy way to cut holes in your landscape fabric, this is the way to do it. Much more simple than cutting them with scissors or cutting X's or slits in them. This works out really well for us. And then if we do have weeds that pop up, the only place we have to actually weed is inside of this little 6-inch hole, which is very easy to do. But by time weeds grow, usually the plants have overtaken that area, so we don't have a ton of weed problems. Also, as another note, our landscape fabric, we don't butt it up to each other, we actually overlap it. Because the first year we did this, we kind of put the landscape fabric edge to edge, and what we ended up with was one long row of weeds, which obviously was not appealing or user-friendly. So we overlap our fabric here. We usually go about 3 feet of overlap to make sure that we don't have weeds that sneak out between the sheets. So while they're doing the landscape fabric over there, let's check in with Mike and see what he's doing. What are you working on?
I am working on the automated watering systems.
Okay, so how do these work, Michael?
They're automated.
Okay, we'll move on.
Just kidding.
Okay, so
what I do is I set up, first off, I would say assisted me, but I think I assisted you a couple years ago where we dug trenches, and we have hose bibs on every single one of the plots. At each one of the hose bibs, we have a connected timer. So what I've done is I have spaced them out to where when it starts at, let's call it 6 a.m., each one of the plots waters for about 10 minutes, and then the next respective plot starts right after that 10 minutes is up.
Why do you do that? Why don't you just run them all at the same time?
We won't have enough water pressure. So we do it so that way we have enough water pressure for each one of the plots. but really it's so that we have equal water throughout every one of the plots and plants. And honestly, I can't imagine doing this any other way other than automating it. So yes, it takes a good bit of time right at the very beginning. I'd say a couple of hours to get all the hoses set up. I drain all of these at the end of the season, so that way hopefully I don't have any cracked hoses or cracked timers. And I just store them. So quite honestly, they last every year. Sometimes I have to replace one here or there, but for the most part, pull them out of storage, get each one set up. It takes me about 2 hours to get the entire garden set up, and quite frankly, set it and forget it. So if I have to spend a couple of hours to water the garden for the entire season and not have to touch it, I'll do it.
Okay, so that is all super great information. What do you attach to these timers? Do you have hoses? Do you have sprinklers? How does the water actually get to the plants?
Yeah, so what I do is I attach 6-foot hoses from the timer and I connect them to soaker hoses. Now these I do buy new every year. So these only cost less than 10 bucks a piece, but throughout the year they get a lot of debris inside of them, so they're really not usable each year. So I do buy new soaker hoses, but I connect this to the ends of the 6-foot hoses, and then what I do is I put staples right next to each one of the plants with the soaker hoses, so therefore each plant gets direct water and we're not watering from above. So a lot of the plants that we have, let's call it the pumpkin plants, are a great example. When we water from above, we could cause some fungus on the leaf and then therefore could, quite frankly, ruin the crop for the year. So we try our best to water from down at the root level. Also, it gets water right directly to the roots and we get to water less. So we're only watering 10 minutes a day for the first part of the season. When it gets a little drier, let's call it August, sometimes we'll do twice a day, but it really kind of depends on what the water levels are for that week.
Super great. That is awesome information. Thanks, Mike. All right, well, good luck hooking up all the waterers. So we got water hooked up, that's automatic. We got our weed barriers, which make it so that we don't have to weed, which is kind of automatic because there's no weeding involved. And then after that, the only thing left we have to do once the weed barrier is down is we get to plant plants. Okay guys, so it is a couple days later and we have everything planted in the garden now. So let me show you kind of what we did, because our tomatoes are much different this year than we have done in the past. And I'm hoping that this is a better solution. So in the past, we have planted a lot of tomatoes. So these first 2 sections here are all tomatoes. And we used tomato cages, which was a lot. I mean, getting the tomato cages through the landscape fabric, for one, was a little difficult. The second thing is that they were just too hard to work around. You were always like trying to get around all of the wires to get to the tomatoes. So this year we took an idea that we saw on a lot of videos on the interwebs, and we did stakes with string. So I'll show you how this works. So we pounded T-stakes in here. So these stakes are in the ground and we have them in between each tomato plant. I'll show you. So we actually spread our tomato plants out this year. So we have a plant and then we have a stake and then we have a plant and then we have a stake. So we didn't fill every hole like we did last year with tomatoes because honestly, we had too many. So we kind of spread everything out and then we use those extra holes for the stakes. And then we strung wire between them. It's actually like, it's like a nylon string. So what we did is that the first string kind of goes at the base of the plant here, you can see it. And then the second string goes on the other side. And then these alternate all the way up as the plant grows. So it gives us really good access to the plant. We are able to get to the plant a lot easier. And I think that this is going to work much better. The other day we put in 60 stakes, so there's 60 different poles in these 2 beds and a lot of string. But as these plants grow, we'll add a new layer of string every time they get taller, and it should support all of the weight of the tomato plants on these poles. So that's our tomato section. So this is section 1 here. Our second section here is also tomato plants. So we got 2 whole big sections of tomatoes, and these are about 30 feet wide by about 40 feet long. So just to give you an idea of size. So both of these are. Then Our third section here is where Mike has done all of his herbs, all his squashes, and all his cucumbers. So right here is we have some lettuce, we have herbs, then we have squashes, zucchinis, and then we have cucumbers. And the cucumbers, we use these cucumber trellises that they grow up that we've been pretty happy with. So let me show them to you from the side here. So see, they're kind of like self-supporting here, and the cucumbers just grow out the sides of them, and it works really well. In this section, we did all seeds. So this is all flowers. This is going to be cut flowers for our farm stand. So all of these seeds went in last weekend, and you can see some of them are actually already coming up. So this is really exciting. This is new for us because we've never done cut flowers before. And the cool thing about being in the garden is right next to the garden is pasture 10. So when we come out to hang out in the garden, we get to hang out with the cows too, which obviously is my favorite part. So our back two sections are pumpkins. So this has always been our pumpkin patch back here, which is Keegan's pumpkin patch. It's like his favorite thing to do is grow pumpkins and pick them for the farm stand. So this is his original pumpkin patch. Then this year we added a second one because we had strawberries here and we just could not get them to grow right. We had them for about 3 years. We replanted, we weeded, we did all sorts of stuff, and we couldn't get it to work right. So we opted for pumpkins instead. So this section and that section are both pumpkins. These are more like 30 feet by 60 feet. So these are huge sections for pumpkins. So this whole garden here is probably about a 1/4 acre of space, and we have 2 large sections and 4 smaller sections that we have utilized to plant everything that we want to plant. Okay, so what do we do with everything that we grow in the garden? All of this stuff that we grow in the garden is for our farm stand. So we take all of the tomatoes and the squash and the zucchini and the lettuce and the herbs and the peppers and everything that's in here, and we take it down to the farm stand during the summer and we sell all of this produce. Then in fall, we take all of Keegan's pumpkin patch here, we pick everything and we take all of the pumpkins and the gourds and we take all those down to the farm stand, and that's our fall crop that we put down at the farm stand for people to enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the tour here. I hope you learned a little something about how we set up our garden. I hope you took the time to subscribe below, because that is the best way you can support what we're doing here, is liking and subscribing our videos. And stay tuned, because midsummer we're gonna have an update on how all of this stuff looks and how all of it's growing, and I think you're gonna be super impressed.